Yo, what's going on, guys? It is your boy Sydney, and it is a beautiful Sunday morning here, and I wanted to share a little something with you. And you know what this means. This means I got a juicy article for you guys. I'm going to be dropping it in the comments below after this video. Why women lose the dating game. Bettina Arndt listens to the other voices in this debate, the men. Because, when you're having a debate about something, it's kind of important to listen to both sides of the coin so you can actually understand the whole picture rather than just listening to a narrow, one-sided point of view or opinion, which doesn't always equate to fact. Now, here we go. This is actually from back in 2012. Can you believe it? I've only just stumbled across this now. And I would love to thank the person that actually granted me this particular video, Opium Overlord. Big shout out to you, my man. All right, let's get into it. Naomi sat in the back row of Melbourne's Grattan Institute, about to watch her fiance give a lecture. She was joined by three unfamiliar women, all attractive, well-groomed, in their mid-30s. From their whispered chat, she quickly realized they weren't there to hear about politics and economics, but to meet her eligible man. Naomi explains, he's 36 years old and is definitely someone who falls into the alpha male category. Excellent job in finance. PhD, aka his doctorate. High income, 6'2", sporty and very handsome. And he's an utter sweetheart. Isn't that nice? Naomi is an attractive 28-year-old PhD student, so she's also got her doctorate. She has been in a relationship with her fiancé for 6 years. Her new companions were very friendly and chatted to her during the break, but then her partner, who had been socializing at the front of the room, made eye contact with Naomi and smiled. The women saw this, and it was like the room had suddenly frozen over. There was silence, and then one of them asked me if I knew him. I wasn't going to lie, so I told them that he was my partner and how long we had been together. It was amazing how they responded. They stopped smiling at me, shifted awkwardly in their seats, and looked me up and down as if they were trying to figure out how a girl who still wears jeans and ballet flats could land a guy like that. The women left before her man gave his speech. Naomi, that's Imone backwards, is stunned by the number of women in their 30s who throw themselves at her partner. The colleagues who sign emails with kisses, XXXX. The female journalist who pointedly asked post-interview, if he was married. Yet, given the plight of 30-something women seeking partners, it's hardly surprising that her boyfriend is in their sights. We hear endless complaints from women about the lack of good men. Women astonished that men don't seem to be around when they decide it is time to settle down. Women telling men to man up and stop shying away from commitments. You commitment phobes, you. But there is another conversation going on, a fascinating exchange about what is happening from the male point of view. Much of it thrives on the internet in the so-called manosphere. Here you will find men cheerfully, even triumphantly blogging about their experience. They have cause for celebration, you see. They've discovered a profound change has taken place in the mating game. And to their surprise, that's you men, are the winners. Dalrock, that's DALROCK.wordpress.com is typical. Quote, today's unmarried 20-something women have given men an ultimatum. I'll marry when I'm ready. Take it or leave it. This is, of course, their right. And their prerogative even. But ultimatums are a risky thing because there is always a possibility the other side will decide to leave it. In the next decade, we will witness the end result of this game of marriage chicken. End quote. The endgame Dalrock warns about is already in play for hordes of unmarried professional women, the well-coiffed lawyers, bankers, and other success stories. Many thought they could put off marriage and families until their 30s, having devoted their 20s to education, establishing careers, and playing the field. But was their decade of dating a strategic mistake? Great question, Bettina. Great question. Jamie, a 30-year-old Sydney barrister, thinks so. Quote, women labour under the impression they can have it all. They can have the career, this carefree lifestyle, and then at the snap of their fingers, because they are so fabulous, find a man. But if they wait until their 30s, they're competing with women who are much younger and in various ways more attractive. That's right, Bettina. That's right. I agree with you. The crisis for single women in this age group seeking a mate is very real. Almost 1 in 3 women aged 30 to 34, and a quarter of late 30s women do not have a partner, according to the 2006 census statistics. And this is a growing problem. For women, that is. The number of partnerless women in their 30s has almost doubled since 1986. And at the time of writing that article, that is only 16 years. The challenge is greatest for high-achieving women in their 30s looking for equally successful men. Analysis of 2006 census figures by the Monash University sociologist Genevieve Hurd reveals that almost 1 in 4 of degree-educated women in their 30s will miss out on a man of similar age and educational achievement. And as MGTOW grows steam, that number will only increase. There were only 68,000 unattached graduate men in their 30s for 88,000 single graduate women in the same age group. The 30s are worrying years for high-achieving women who long for marriage and children. Of course, not all do, as they face their rapidly closing reproductive window surrounded by men who see no rush to settle down. Well, that would be because men can reproduce well into their 50s. Women cannot produce well into their 40s at anywhere near the same rate. This is just biological fact, guys. I'm not picking on anything. I'm not, trying to stir up any trouble. I'm just stating some facts here. And the higher education gap keeps widening. In the past year, the proportion of degree-educated women aged 25 to 34 rose from 37.7% to 40.3%. Well, imagine that. Universities being anti-male and the amount of university-educated men becoming less and less, according to the Bureau of Statistics. While for males, the figure remained below 30%, having risen only 0.5% in the past year. Although there are similar numbers of single men and women in their 30s overall, about 370,000 of each across Australia. Half these available men had only high school education. 57% earned $42,000 or less, and 95% of them were unemployed. And 0% of them had affirmative action on their side to help them get the jobs that women want them to have to consider them eligible for dating. The high expectations of professional women are a big part of the story. Many high-achieving women simply are not interested in Mr. Average, said Justin Parfitt, the owner of Australia's fastest-growing speed dating organisations. Fast impressions. Parfitt adds, quote, they've swallowed the L'Oreal line because you're worth it, end quote. There's a real sense of entitlement. He finds many of his female members are determined to meet only men who are tall, attractive, wealthy, and well-educated. They want the alpha males. Quote, most of the professional women rarely give out yes votes to men who aren't similarly successful. end quote, reports Parfit, who struggles to attract enough of these successful men to his speed dating events. Well, imagine my shock. In fact, these men that these women are after do not need to go to speed dating. They have women literally throwing themselves at them day in, day out. There is zero need for them to attend a speed dating event when they have a glut of women literally following them like they're a celebrity and actively trying to win their affection. 60% of his members are female. Most of the 60% of his members that are female are also over 30. During their 20s, women compete for the most highly desirable men, the Mr. Bigs. Many will readily share a bed with the sporty, attractive, confident men, while ordinary men miss out. As Whiskey puts it at whiskiesplace.wordpress.com, quote, Joe average beta male is about as desirable to women as a cold bowl of oatmeal, end quote. I agree with that. Data from American colleges show 20% of males, the most attractive ones, get 80% of the sex, according to an analysis by Susan Walsh, a former management consultant who wrote about the issue on her dating website, hookingupsmart.com. That leaves a lot of beta men spending their 20s out in the cold. Greg, a 38-year-old writer from Melbourne, started adult life shy and lonely. In my 20s, he says, the women had the total upper hand. They could make or break you with one look in a club or bar. They had the choice of men, sex was on tap, and guys like me went home alone, red-faced, defeated, and embarrassed. The girls only wanted to go for the cool guys, good looks, outgoing personalities, money, sporty types, the kind of guys who owned the room, while us quiet ones got ignored, end quote. He barely had a date through much of his 20s and gave up on women. But then he spent time overseas, gained more confidence, learned how to dress well, and hit his early 30s. I suddenly started to get asked out by women, aged 19 through to 40. The floodgates burst open for me. I actually dated 5 women at once, amazing my flatmates by often betting 3 to 4 of my casual dates each week. It's a great time as a male in your 30s. By the way, to those of you in your 20s and your late teens that are watching these videos, to my man Tony V and a bunch of other guys I know that are still young, still starting out in the dating game, believe me, this will happen. So work on yourselves now and you will have the option. You will have a flood of options in your 30s. I'm telling you right now. Believe me, it happened to me as well. Exact same story. It happens to most guys. And it's just dating dynamics. It's human nature. All right. Yeah, it is a great time as a male in your 30s when you start getting more female attention and sex than you could have ever dreamt of in your 20s. Absolutely 100% correct. That's when some men start behaving very badly, right? And, very badly, right? As in sleeping around. As the manosphere clearly shows, these internet sites are not for the faint-hearted. These voices are often crude and perceived as misogynistic, but they tell it as they see it, right? We're literally saying reality. There is Greenlander, an apparently successful engineer in his late 30s. In his early adult life, he was able to get the time of day from women. Now he's interested only in women under 27. Sorry, he was unable to get the time of day from women. Now he's interested only in women under 27. The women I know in their early 30s are just delusional, he says. I sometimes seduce them and sleep with them just because I know how to play them so well. It's just too easy. They're tired of the cock carousel, right? And YouTube, I'm not saying that. The article's saying it. So go and look at the link that I'm going to pin in the comments after this video, and you'll see that that's their words, not mine. The words of a female, not mine. They're tired of the cock carousel, and they see a guy like me as the perfect beta to settle down with before their eggs dry out. When I get tired of them, I just delete their numbers from my cell phone and stop taking their calls. It doesn't really hurt them that much. At this point, they're used to pump and dump. It's easy to dismiss such bile, but Greenlander's analysis is echoed by many Australian singles, both male and female. It's wall-to-wall assholes out there, reports Penny, a 31-year-old lawyer. She is stunned by how hard it is to meet suitable men willing to commit. I'm horrified by the number of gorgeous, independent, and successful women my age who can't meet a decent man. Horrified. Penny acknowledges part of the problem is her own expectations, that her generation of women was brought up wanting too much. She says, we were told we were special, we could do anything, and the world was our oyster. End quote. And having spent her 20s dating alpha males, she expected them to still be around when she finally decided to get serious. But these men go fast, many fishing outside their pond. The most attractive, successful men can take their pick from women their own age, or from the Naomis, spelled backwards Imones, the younger women who are happy to settle early. Almost 1 in 3 degree-educated 35-year-old men marries or lives with women aged 30 or under, according to income, housing, and marriage surveys by the Bureau of Statistics. I can't believe how many men my age are only interested in younger women, wails Gail, a 34-year-old advertising executive, as she describes her first search through men's profiles on the RSVP internet dating site. She is shocked to find many mid-30s men have set up their profiles to refuse mail from women her own age. By the way, guys, this is my first time reading this article all the way through to the end, so I'm loving this. Talking to many women like her, it's intriguing how many look back on past relationships where they let good men get away because they weren't ready. American journalist Kate Bollick wrote recently in The Atlantic about breaking off her 3-year relationship with a man she described as intelligent, good-looking, loyal, and kind, end quote. She acknowledged there was no good reason to end things. Yet, at the time, she was convinced something was missing in the relationship. Gee, you think? That was 11 years ago. She is now 39 and facing grim choices. Now, if you're liking this video so far, I want you to smash that thumbs up, guys. And if you haven't yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it so you get the daily notifications of videos like this. So, many women are missing out on their fairy tale ending. Their assumption that when the time was right, the dream man would be waiting. The 30s are worrying years for high-achieving women who long for marriage and children. Of course, not all do, as they face their rapidly closing reproductive window, surrounded by men who see no rush to settle down. And of course, many women eventually do find a mate, often ending up with divorced men. There are complications with the second marriage market, in which men come complete with former wives and children. That was never part of the plan. Many really struggle with the fact that they are not in a position to be too choosy. American author Lori Gottlieb gives a painfully honest account of that process in her book, Marry Him, The Case for Settling for Mr. Good Enough. And by the way, guys, if you know any women that fall into the category of people waiting until they're in their mid-30s because they think they can pick up an alpha male when they reach that age, I need you to send this video to them right now so they can hear some real truth bombs about the reality of dating in your 30s. Quote unquote, maybe we need to get over ourselves, end quote, she writes. Maybe you do, I agree. The 40-year-old single mother enlisted a team of advisors who helped her realize that while she was conducting her long search for the perfect man, Prince Charming or nobody, her market value had dropped through the floor. She's gone through the floor, from the roof to the floor and through it. You know what I'm saying? Quote, our generation of women is constantly told to have high self-esteem, but it seems that the women themselves are at risk of ego tripping themselves out of romantic connection, she writes. She acknowledges that she made a mistake not looking for a spouse in her 20s when she was at her most desirable. She advises 30-something women to look for Mr. Good Enough before they even have less choice. They are with an 8, but they want a 10. but then suddenly they're 40 and can only get a 5 at best. Women delaying their search for a serious relationship have set up a very different dating and marriage market. The Sydney barrister Jamie finds himself spoiled for choice. Like many of his friends, he's finding women actively pursuing him, asking him out, cooking him elaborate meals, buying him presents. Oh, you're a barrister, they say. While many of his mates are playing the field, determined to enjoy this unexpected attention, Jamie is ready to settle down. He's very wary of the sex and the city types, women who are convinced they are so special, but he's confident he will soon find someone with her feet on the ground. I'm lucky, he says, to be in a buyer's market. And men, I'm going to put the link to this article and my Sydney Man Drought video, which went absolutely viral, and a link to an article on female entitlement mentality by Miranda Devine, which clearly outlines a lot of what we're talking about in this video. I'll be putting that in the comment section after this live video finishes. And I really encourage you guys to share this with everyone you know. Young guys, older women, younger women, to let them know how things work. All right? Because this is the reality of the dating pool, men. The hot alpha males, the guys, like, I get some people going, oh, you're bald and ginger. I was like, yeah, but I get pussy, right? I have options available to me. And I'm not being a misogynist. I'm not being a sexist. I'm just telling you how it is, right? Dude like me have options. I've got more options available to me than I've ever had before. And my man MGTOW Knowledge Darius is in the house watching this. You know, when some big hitters like Darius are in the house listening to a video like this, that there's some serious truth bombs going on, right? And the younger women are going for guys like me. I'm talking girls from 19 through to 24, 25, 26 are throwing themselves at me, right? And of course, I'm selective about the ones that I want to choose, right? I'm selective about the ones that I want to choose because I realize that not all of them are worth your time and your energy. In fact, it's very, very difficult to find them. All right. And thank you to Maggie Alpha One for pointing out another video, Single in Australia, A Bloke's Paradise, which is apparently also very funny. I look forward to going and checking that out, Maggie Alpha One. Appreciate you bringing that to my attention and to the attention of all the other people watching right now. We got 57 in the box. There is some serious fire going on in this video, and I appreciate you all tuning in to hear it. Anyway, guys, look, I'm going to tune out for now. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to drop a super chat. Otherwise, there's patreon.com/SydneyMGTOW. I don't care if you don't donate. I love bringing this to you guys. I love waking you up to what's really going on in the dating world. And I honestly want the women out there to listen to this video and understand that if you don't start bringing value, right? Because you got to remember, ladies, right? Yeah, you might be hot. You might have everyone throwing themselves at you now, right? But guess what? Us men can cook. We can clean, right? We can bring in the money. We can save. We can buy a house by ourselves. We don't need you to get the things, right? We want a good woman, right? But there's so few of you. So if you want to be a good woman, you need to start understanding what it is that men want. You need to start understanding that we need appreciation too, right? If we're going to give our time and energy to you, you got to start understanding that, you know, we can cook for ourselves, right? We can buy our own meals. We can prepare our own food, right? But if you want to make nice meals for us, if you want to appreciate us, if you want to do good things for us, if you want to be kind, if you want to be considerate, right? Then by all means do those things and you might have a chance of getting a good dude. But if you're going to sit there and think that that thing between your legs and these titties right here are going to get you all the way through your life, right, until retirement, then you better think again, because that shit starts to sag, starts to look like a roast something after a while. Not going to say it because I don't want to get zucked by YouTube. Thank you so much for that $2 donation, Steel Rain. I appreciate you, brother. All right. And at the end of the day, men can reproduce into their 40s and 50s, right? When we got these successful men, right? When we got these guys who have worked out what's going on, worked out the dating dynamics, worked out how women think, right? And those men are the guys that women go for, right? So please stop simping. Please stop running after girls in their 30s, right? Right? You need to build yourself up. You need to be the man that you've always wanted to be, right? You have the ability to get there, right? You have the knowledge. Keep watching my videos and you'll understand. And from there, you get to move on to bigger and better pastures. You will have girls throwing yourself at you. You will have all the options in the world. Stay true to yourself. Stay true to your vision. Start saying no. Stop simping, right? Start respecting yourself. And women, start showing some damn respect to men. Because without us, right, you can't have kids. Without us, you will be lonely in your 50s. Right? And you might be in your 20s now saying, oh, I can have men, you know, I'm never going to be lonely. Believe me, I've seen it time and time again. It might take 30 years for you to get there. Don't waste your life over the next 20, 30 years, only to realize that what Sydney is saying to you right now is the God-given truth. All right, man, I'm out of here. Make sure you share this video with everyone you know and give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button below. If you haven't, hit the bell next to it. And if you want to donate, feel free to. If you don't want to donate, that's cool. See you in the next video. Peace.